Well, post-activism is the name that I give to the idea that we need to slow down. The times are urgent. Let us slow down. It's paradoxical. When times are urgent, when things are urgent, you want to speed things up, right? You want to do more. You want to get in there. But I feel that we are in such a moment when our vision of our place in the world is changing. Our vision of ourselves as humans, our vision of our environment as resource, all these things are changing, and we can no longer see ourselves in the same way. For instance, there's a whole story and narrative around climate change, and that climate change is just weather patterns disturbing the narrative of development. And so what do? We stop it. We do our best to stop climate change, or we do our best to adapt our systems so that we can mitigate the impacts of climate change. But just the phenomenon of climate change is bringing us to realize that we have and have always had an impact on the world. And as a result, we can no longer distinguish ourselves from the environment. We are not separate from the world that we claim to be part of. We are the environment. We are part of the world. And so there's an upsurge of wisdom coming from multiple disciplines, from biology to sociology to psychology to quantum physics, that is telling us a different story. What they're telling us is that we are relational beings. We are essentially non-essential. We are relationships. We are not things in a vacuum, in a container. We are the earth touching itself in a way. And that's a radical, very disturbing, frightening picture of what a human being is. As a result, we can no longer think of the self as the industrial capitalist self that is atomized and separate from all other selves. We have to think of the self as a connection, as a congealment of many other selves, as a congealment of ideas and geology and biology and all of that. Well, to cut the long story short, if the story has changed, then we can no longer act in the ways we've acted before. I think Einstein comes to mind when he says we can't approach, I'm paraphrasing him because I can't remember exactly how he put it, but we can't approach the problems with the same ideas or the same kinds of thinking that created the problems in the first place. So we need a new way of thinking about activism, about the environment, about ourselves, about our relationships, about technology. We have to rethink everything. So I am immersed in the fluidity and the streams of wisdom that are speaking these disturbing ideas, this disturbing but liberating ideas, framed the idea of post-activism. What comes to mind when we think of post-activism is after activism, post-activism, but that's not the idea. Is post a certain practice of activism. What happens when we stretch the conversation of activism and touch the largeness of our body? What if trees have some things to teach us? What if there are capacities we're not aware of and ways of responding to crisis that we're not aware of because we framed ourselves as this industrial, scarce, atomized beings? What if there are other ways of relating to the world that we have excluded or we do not notice? So post-activism is an invitation not to find a special new way of solving our problems. It's not about solutions. It's about seeing the way we see. It's about questioning the questions we ask. It's about troubling our problems. It's about shaking the plots and the narratives that we're so used to. And it's opening a way for practices that hold space for all these kinds of deep, immersive exploration of what it means to be on the planet today.